One of the bungee jumping instructors charged in the death of a student in Brazil previously joked about throwing bodies off the bridge, filming a sick stunt at the same site where the young woman recently lost her life. In a video he posted on Instagram in 2022, which he titled "Hiding the Body," Luis Felipe Feliciano Egoroff and other instructors hurled a black bag made to look like a dead body off of Skeleton Bridge. The twisted clip has resurfaced after a bungee jumper horrifically plunged to her death after she was thrown off a bridge without a bungee cord, and the entire thing was captured in a shocking video.
ICE just approved forced labor from people that they detained by a group called the GEO Group. Now, if you know anything about black codes, they were laws specifically just for black people. Vagrancy laws, not being able to read, being out past curfew, that would make it so that a black person would go to prison for a made-up crime. It's almost like slavery.
New state data shows a potentially deadly virus now detected in mosquitoes right here in Central Florida.
And it makes those bites a lot more concerning this summer.
I think that mosquitoes are a menace.
At Rotary Park along the Indian River, mosquitoes are hard to ignore for Emily Browder and her friends.
But yes, there has been a problem around here with mosquitoes.
And right now, that threat goes beyond itchy bites. A new report from the Florida Department of Health shows Sentinel chickens in Orange County tested positive just last week for Eastern equine encephalitis. It's also known as Triple E, a rare but potentially deadly virus. Those are chickens placed in the field specifically to detect mosquito-borne illnesses. So far in 2026, health officials have confirmed at least 9 cases of Triple E in Orange, Volusia, and Brevard counties, including a horse in Volusia County back in March. They stress families must help in the fight against mosquitoes. Drain standing water, keep doors and windows screened, mow grass, and maintain your yard. As for Browder and her friends in Brevard County, they're doing what they can by relying on repellents, mostly natural ones.
So we do like to use things like peppermint oil, lavender oil, natural mosquito repellents. We try to avoid the DEET, but if we know we're going somewhere where we are going to get carried away, we will use that.
And with Triple E detected in Central Florida, protection is a must during the hot, humid summer months.
I live in Cocoa Beach, and we have had a few summers where there's just been a real infestation.
And Triple E has no specific treatment, vaccine, or cure, which is why health officials stress prevention is really your only defense.
I went to a birthday party in Texas, a family birthday party from my husband's side. I didn't know anybody, and I'm at a kitchen table, and there's this scruffy guy. He's a little bit drunk, and his wife has just left him, so he's depressed, and he just starts talking. I asked him, "Oh, so what did you do before you retired?" And he goes, I work for the company, the CIA." And then he starts talking. He says his life was like Apocalypse Now, as far as going to Vietnam and doing really, really bad stuff.
Oh, wow.
And then the last thing he said was, "Oh, but the weirdest thing I ever did was drop boxes of infected ticks on Cuba." He had no idea who it was, and my eyes are just up like this. So for the rest of the party, being the reporter that I am, I would, let me get you another drink. And I'd go into the back,
Yeah.
a little piece of paper.
The reporter that I am. Let me booze you up.
He said, I keep on going back. And then he said stuff I didn't know about the Cold War at all. And Operation Mongoose and Colonel Lansdale. And so, but then I thought, no, I can't get sucked into Lyme disease again. But then just a couple weeks later, it's a beautiful June day, I get a 3-hour video interview from another documentarian, Tim Gray, who just interviewed Willie, and it actually came out of his mouth that what he discovered around Lyme, Connecticut and Long Island, he thought it could be related to a biological weapons project that his lab worked on.
The deadly H5 strain of bird flu has reached Australia, which previously remained the only continent where the strain had not been detected. The H5 strain of bird flu is a highly contagious mutation associated with high mortality rates in poultry, wild birds and certain mammals worldwide. The National Science Agency of Australia has also confirmed that the first case was detected in the migratory seabird, a brown skua in Western in the remote part of Western Australia near Esperance. Australian Minister of Agriculture Julie Collins was briefed on the findings and preparedness measures related to the spread of the H5 bird flu. She said the development, while disappointing, was not unexpected given the global spread of the virus. She confirmed that there is currently no evidence of mass mortalities or infection in poultry and noted that Australia could not remain flu-free indefinitely. Concerns about an outbreak also stem from the risk that the strain poses to Australia's highly diverse and unique fauna. Almost half of Australia's wild bird species and 83% of its mammals are found nowhere else. Earlier, Australian scientists said that the H5 bird flu strain had killed more than 13,000 elephant seal pups after infecting a breeding colony on the remote Heard and McDonald Islands, now raising concerns about population-level impacts on Australia's fauna.
Testing is still underway tonight on a second bird after Australia's first case of the deadly H5 bird flu was confirmed on WA South Coast. Parks and Wildlife Rangers today on the ground in Esperance, urging the public to report any animals that are sick or dead.
Boots on the ground in Esperance, rangers search for sick birds. Cape Le Grand National Park at the centre of a potential wildlife emergency.
There's certainly a heightened awareness around town.
A brown skewer migratory seabird testing positive to H5 bird flu. A giant petrel has also died, results expected tomorrow to determine if it's the same strain.
We're very concerned about our native wildlife and our, of course, livestock industries as well. So it has to be taken seriously.
Tracy Lang runs Esperance Bird and Animal Park Cafe. They have more than 300 birds. Recent rain attracting wild ones.
Our main concern will be trying to limit birds getting into our enclosures.
The family-run business seeing thousands of visitors each year.
We may potentially lose a lot, so yeah. We have to be ready for that.
Our poultry industry also on high alert, ramping up biosecurity measures.
This is their livelihoods on the line if this outbreak really spreads and takes hold. So it's very important that there's full disclosure.
The deadly disease wiping out millions of animals around the world. Australian species now at risk from the black swan to Tasmanian devil and sea lion. There have been 16 reports of dead birds from Perth to Esperance, among them 5 seabirds. Samples are now being collected. Further tests will be done to establish whether they have the disease.
If you see any sick birds or dead birds, stay away from them, but certainly report their location and report it to the authorities.
Sarah Smith, 9 News.
A large number of fish have died and have been washed ashore on the sea coast at Boyapadu village in Andhra Pradesh. Thousands of dead fish have washed ashore along a nearly 6-kilometre stretch of the coast. The incident has alarmed fishermen who depend on the sea for their livelihoods. Fresh questions are also raised on industrial pollution in the region, and fishermen are pointing their fingers towards chemical waste being dumped by pharmaceutical companies. They claim untreated industrial effluents are being released into the sea. Local communities say fish stocks have already been declining, forcing many fishermen to travel farther or migrate elsewhere in search of a catch. Continued pollution could severely impact the livelihoods of thousands of families across the region's fishing villages. Residents are urging authorities to investigate the cause of the fish deaths and take immediate measures to protect marine ecosystems.
shifting focus to Bolivia then, that has declared a nationwide state of emergency after nearly 2 months of crippling protests and road blockades that choked supplies, battered the economy and intensified calls for President Rodrigo Paz's resignation. Troops moved into key locations overnight with the emergency decree giving military wider powers to clear roadblocks and restore order. While the unrest has now stretched beyond 50 days, Congress must review the measure within 72 hours' time. It began after Paz scrapped decades-old fuel subsidies in order to shrink the deficit as Bolivia battled a worsening dollar shortage and opened talks with the IMF. The anger quickly spread. Workers, farmers, miners, teachers and even transport unions joined the protests for higher wages, an end to shortages and Paz's resignation as well. Now, President Paz has accused groups linked to former President Evo Morales of trying to destabilize the country and stage what he called an attempted coup.
What Bolivia is facing today is an organized strategy to destabilize democracy and a legitimate government. We must call it what it is. It is an attempted coup d'etat, fueled by narco-terrorism against a democratically elected government.
Road blockades have become the movement's strongest weapon. At one point, nearly 100 highways were cut off and supplies of food, fuel and medicine were stranded. People are fighting to get their basic bread and butter. Well, despite a peace deal with Bolivia's largest labor federation, farmers and indigenous groups have pledged to keep blocking roads until Paz steps down.
We're going to keep blocking the roads. The blockades are getting bigger. We're not going to stop the blockades until the government gone. We're going to fight until we win, until this incompetent government is gone.
Pero también llega un momento en que no actuar deja de ser prudencia y se convierte en irresponsabilidad.
Necesario porque ya estábamos en un estado de indefensión también. La otra parte.
Todo lo que he hecho, sus leyes de basura. Hermanos, solamente
Para mí es una medida bien, porque mucho de la ciudad de La Paz hemos sufrido de hambre, de raza, de canasta familiar, los precios están elevados, ¿no? Ahora sí ese gobierno ha hecho bien, ¿no? El señor presidente Rodrigo Paz ha hecho bien ese estado de excepción.
Que renuncie de una vez Rodrigo, que se vaya hasta que renuncie. Nosotros no vamos a estar callados, nosotros no vamos a estar silencio, vamos a ir gritando, vamos a ir a las calles, vamos a salir a gritar a todos, señor periodista.
Hemos tomado la decisión de declarar el estado de excepción en todo el territorio nacional. He instruido a la policía boliviana, a las Fuerzas Armadas, ejecutar las acciones necesarias para restablecer el libre tránsito, recuperar las carreteras y garantizar la seguridad de la población. Es un estado de excepción para devolverle la libertad a la gente, para liberar a Bolivia de quienes utilizan el conflicto político para bloquear carreteras y hacerle daño a la población, para garantizar que lleguen los alimentos a las familias bolivianas, para que llegue combustible a nuestras ciudades, que llegue oxígeno a nuestros hospitales, a nuestros niños que vuelvan a clases. A los violentos se les aplicará todo el rigor de la ley y toda la fuerza legítima que la Constitución y la democracia otorgan al Estado para proteger a sus ciudadanos.
y ya estábamos a punto de una emergencia.
We are on the brink of an emergency in terms of famine. There are people who, with the price rises and the shortages, the poorest cannot get absolutely anything. That is a reality, and we find ourselves in an atmosphere of tension where we citizens want peace, calm, and most importantly, that whoever breaks the law be punished. That is what we Bolivians want.
Eso es lo que los bolivianos queremos.
I haven't opened for over a month and a half. I haven't opened on Saturdays or Sundays. I had 9 employees under my care. Unfortunately, I had to tell them to take a break. What am I going to sell? There's no meat, it's expensive, and there's no chicken. There aren't any ingredients either, to vary with other dishes. Nothing.